الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our 23rd reflective session now, where we are reading from the work of the great Ottoman scholar Said Nursi in his treatise titled A Message for the Sick or A Message for the Ill, Risalatun likulli marid. And alhamdulillah, over the past 3 weeks now, we have been analyzing, pondering, and reflecting on the great and cogent spiritual advices that he has provided in this text, particularly for those individuals who have been afflicted with disease and who are trying to understand the spiritual benefits laden within disease, and who are also trying to understand the divine wisdom and how they can make the most of these situations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed upon them. So inshallah today we'll be looking at the 21st remedy, and before we commence with that, I just wanted to mention that seeing that we are almost coming to the end of this treatise, we have a few more remedies to read and reflect upon. I thought that we will inshallah keep these sessions much shorter than what they originally were, as in the previous sessions and episodes. And the fact that we are now in the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan, our time would be better spent and would be more conducive and productive in focusing our attention in our ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the various acts, and also through khidmah and service within our communities. So inshallah we will keep these sessions very short. We'll reflect upon the main points, and hopefully within a duration of 5 to 7 minutes we should be able to complete these sessions now. And as I mentioned, we have about 3 or 4 remedies to discuss and to analyze before we complete the text. So inshallah we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to assist us in that regard, and to make us of those who are able to imbibe all the various advices that Sayyid Nursi has provided in this text, inshallah, because as we have discussed before and we have mentioned that none of us are immune to disease. At some point in our lives we will have to face disease either for the first time or again if we've been afflicted in the past with disease. So these advices are valuable for every single individual and every single person. And what I would advise thereafter is that inshallah after the month of Ramadan, if you have the time and you have the opportunity to read this treatise on your own, it's been translated into English, so it should be straightforward, and I think it will be a good reminder for all of us to internalize all these spiritual advices that Sayyid Nursi has provided in this text. And I think it will be a good opportunity for individuals to get some familiarity with the wonderful work of the Risale Nur, the magnus opus of Sayyid Nursi. So inshallah we ask Allah to give us the opportunity to do that as well. Focusing on the 21st remedy that Sayyid Nursi provides, he says, O brother or sister who is afflicted with disease, whilst you might be experiencing physical pain, realize that there is an opportunity, that there is a great opportunity for you to derive spiritual benefit. And the spiritual benefit is that whilst you are ill physically, many individuals within your family or within your circle of friends will now show sincere attention to you, such that they will show you compassion. The eye of compassion will be placed upon you, and in that regard people will serve you and assist you and make dua for you with regards to your well-being and with regards to the process of you healing through this disease. And Sayyid Nursi says here that the benefit in this is that many a times in life, as we go through our different phases, from childhood to our senior years, we tend to lose touch, or we tend to sever relationships with various individuals in our lives, whether they might be family or friends. And the beauty of being in a situation whereby people become aware and conscious of your difficulties, such for the example of illness, is that these relationships are renewed or rekindled. And so perhaps you might have had friends, you might have had brothers or sisters, you might have had cousins, uncles or aunts, whatever the case may be, even children, that for whatever reason your relationships with them diluted, or you became distant. But because you are sick, this is a catalyst or a motivation for them to come back to you and to rekindle and to renew your relationships with each other. And that in itself is a benefit. And so even if there was bad blood, or there were issues or matters that cause people to become distant or to stay away from each other, it's usually with disease that people are able to put these differences aside and to come back and to support each other, to show sympathy and empathy towards each other. And so Sayyid Nursi says that in this situation, if you are an individual who is sick, take solace, find contentment in the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing everyone back to you, such that they will now take care of you and they will assist you in this difficulty. And if you truly understand the reality of this, that in itself is a blessing. And additionally, he says in this point that with life, what happens is that we get caught up with so many expectations, and sometimes we get involved in so many activities whereby we need to be involved in, for whatever reason, people are dependent on us, or the expectations have been placed upon us, and this sometimes has a negative effect upon our health. And so when you are afflicted with disease, you now have a valid excuse to rest and to take a break and to allow yourself to recalibrate. And so therefore you should recognize this great blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed upon you in the form of disease, that He's taking you out of one situation and placing in you another, such that you might be able to refresh yourself and to rejuvenate yourself, such that when you complete your healing, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cures you, you will now have the necessary energy and fortitude to continue with what you were doing in the past. So disease in itself becomes a pause in life whereby you are able to breathe and to find repose. So inshallah, we will end with this, as I feel these examples are very straightforward. Just one story or one anecdote that I want to share with you before we end, that I think really encapsulates this point that Sayyid Nursi is making with regards to disease being a reason for people to reconcile and to repair their relationships. There was a time that I was working in a specific hospital, and I remember that during the mornings when we do our ward rounds, when we reassess the patients in the wards, there was a gentleman that I was seeing, and after completing the assessment and reviewing his clinical parameters for the previous night and for the morning, I was just completing my notes, and then I remember that one of the nursing staff came in and asked me if this gentleman could receive a visitor, even though that it was not time for visiting hours. And from my side, seeing that the ward was empty and that there was no real harm in allowing this visitor to come in, I gave permission for that, because I feel that visitations have a positive effect upon the well-being of patients. even though that there are rules in terms of times, if one is able to accommodate certain patients with regards to visits, then I think that's something beneficial and something propitious or favorable for the patient. So in any case, we allowed the visitor to come in, and we gave the patient and the visitor some privacy. And I remember after the visitor left, I came back into that section and just to say goodbye to the patient and to leave his clinical notes at his bedside. And when I was doing that, I saw the patient crying, and I saw the patient in a state of emotion. And I thought maybe something happened, or he received some negative news or bad news. So I asked him, what's wrong, sir? Did something happen? Are you okay? And he said, no, I'm just I'm just emotionally affected by the visit of the visitor that came now. And so I asked him, what happened, if you don't mind sharing with me? And he said that that gentleman that came to visit me now, myself and him, over the past 30 to 40 years, right, we've had a feud amongst us, right? Sometimes the problems are serious, and sometimes they're superficial. So we were always in a state of conflict with each other. We could never find a common ground whereby we could speak to each other as friends or come to terms with each other. So we've always had these issues with each other, and the fact that we live close to each other, in close proximity to each other, right, that hasn't helped as well. But be that as it may, he heard that I was sick, and he heard that I was in physical distress, and he felt that irrespective of the differences of the squabbles or the conflicts that we've had in the past, he felt that if this disease was serious, such that I could have passed away, then he felt that he should come to me and apologize and ask for forgiveness from his side with regards to whatever he has done. And that's why he came to make amends and to repair our relationship. And this gentleman, this patient who was telling me this, right, as he's saying this, tears are rolling from his eyes, and he realized that it was through disease, it was through illness, right, that hearts can become softer. And he told me as well that when he came, when the gentleman came to apologize for all the issues in the past, he was able to find within himself, as the patient, also to forgive him. And he said that he just felt his heart melt. And alhamdulillah, even though that the disease was not fatal and that the gentleman was discharged after some period of time, I think the beauty of this example or this anecdote or event that I experienced was that when people are ill and people are sick, right, the fact that people are able to visit each other, or people are recommended or advocated to visit each other, you can see the value in the sense that people are able to put aside their differences, and that they are able to forgive each other much more easier. And perhaps, there's a rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places in these type of meetings, irrespective of the issues of the past. When people are sick and you're able to visit them, you're able to look upon them with the eye of empathy and the eye of compassion, and that in itself might just be the reason why you are able to melt the shackles on the heart. So inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who are able to understand the wisdom in our difficulties, the wisdom in our tribulations. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who are able to fulfill our duties to others. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the best in this life and in the year after. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.